views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting groups. If you'd like to produce a show, call us at 260-421-1250.
This is Patty Hunter of Patty's Page welcoming Mr. Tommy James.
That's me. Tommy James and the Shondells, yes.
Many moons ago, I used to watch you on TV.
Yes, indeed. Well, we've been around a long time, and I thank the good Lord and the fans for the kind of longevity we've had.
We hear you. So, Tommy, I'm glad you're on my show because I'm looking forward to seeing you here in Fort Wayne, Indiana.
I used to live in South Bend, you know.
Really?
Yeah.
What now? Are you?
I'm just outside of New York in New Jersey now, but I grew up in South Bend and Niles, Michigan, which is just about 10 miles north of South Bend.
Wow.
And that's my old stomping ground.
So you're raised in that area. When did you move away?
Well, when I graduated from high school, I had a hit record right out of the box and moved to New York. And because that's where the record company was, and that's where I had to be. So I've lived on the East Coast ever since I was 18, which is about 107 years ago. Been a long time. That was 1966.
Far in the midst of time.
Yes, indeed.
We both went through the 60s twice, didn't we?
Absolutely.
I had to do it.
Tough road to hoe.
Oh, my stars. So you're married now to Carol. Congratulations,
Yes.
Oh boy.
Thank you. Thank you. She was my manager, you know, for 38 years. I consider myself very lucky.
You are blessed, my friend.
Absolutely.
You got kids?
I do. I have one grown-up son named Brian, and he lives in New Jersey, about an hour away from where I live.
So in school, what did you major in?
Well, I didn't have a chance to go to college because right out of high school, I had a hit record, and that,
what was that?
changed my life. It was Hanky Panky, which I made. I recorded when I was in high school in Niles, Michigan, my hometown, one of my hometowns.
What are your friends?
And I recorded it in a little radio studio at WNIL in Niles, and you know, the record kind of came and went. We had no national distribution, and in '65 I graduated from high school,
right,
and took my band on the road. We played clubs in you know, in the Midwest, and in early '66. The club I was playing, it was a little dumpy little club in Janesville, Wisconsin. Right. And right in the middle of my 2 weeks, the club owner was shut down by the IRS for not paying his taxes.
Hello.
So we were let go, and I went back to Niles feeling like dogs. As soon as I got home, I got the phone call that changed my life. Distributor in Pittsburgh and a disc jockey called me up and told me that this fluky little record that I had made almost 3 years earlier, Hanky Panky, was suddenly sitting at #1 in the city of Pittsburgh. they apparently had bootlegged the record. They
Oh,
bootlegged 80,000 copies and sold them in 10 days. And we were
oh,
sitting at number, only in America. And we were sitting at number one. And would I come to Pittsburgh and play and do some TV and so forth? So I did. I went with the original producer, a disc jockey from Niles, and went to Pittsburgh, and that began my career. Because Pittsburgh was a major market, um, all the trade papers took
yeah.
notice, and I picked up a group there, another group of Shondells, and we went to New York. A new manager. We went to New York a week later and sold the master to ended up being Roulette. But that's a whole other story. We got a yes from all the big major companies, and uh, but we ended up on Roulette Records, which was a whole other story. That was well, I'll tell you about that when I take another breath.
So I'm glad I'm interviewing you because you're one of my favorite groups.
Well, thank you.
And over the years, going through the 60s and 70s, listening to different uh, songs that you had done with the Shondells, it gave me a good feeling. It gives you a good feeling, your music.
Well, thank you. We
So,
were so fortunate, honestly, at Roulette, because it was a rather small label.
mhm,
But compared to Columbia and all the other places, who, by the way, they all the big labels wanted Hanky Panky
mm,
because it broke out of Pittsburgh, and as I said, Pittsburgh was a major market, so they all wanted Hanky Panky, and if I could just be a little longer winded than I already was, I'd just like to tell you the day we went label shopping. We got a yes from Columbia, a yes from Atlantic, RCA, and all the majors. Um, and the last place we took the record to was Roulette.
we like
So
it.
I went to bed. We got a yes from everybody, and I went to bed that night, really feeling great because we were
They
probably going to
wanted
be
you.
yes, and so we probably were going to be with either Columbia or Atlantic, maybe RCA. And so I'm feeling great. And the next day I wake up and about 10 o'clock in the morning, we start getting calls from all the other labels that had said yes.
Mm.
And they all basically said, well, listen, Tom, I'm sorry, but we're going to have to pass.
Oh,
I said, what do you mean you got to pass? I thought we had a deal. And
mm,
Jerry Wexler then up at Atlantic Records told me the truth that Morris Levy, the head of Roulette Records, who was a notorious character for being a gangster,
oh
uh,
no.
called up all the other labels and backed them down. And
Pressure.
told them, he said, "This is my record. Back off." And that's just the way he talked too. So we were apparently, it was the first offer I couldn't refuse. I was apparently going to be on Roulette Records.
Oh my
And,
God.
but God bless them. They took the record to number one in the country, number one all over the world. And we end up having 23 gold singles on Roulette Records worldwide over the years,
Dang.
and 9 platinum albums,
Mm-hmm.
and did about 110 million records all over the world.
So
So
you're
I
sitting
couldn't have
pretty.
done better. Yeah, if we'd have gone with one of the corporate labels, we would have immediately been turned over to an in-house A&R man, especially with a record like Hanky Panky.
Mm.
And
You
probably
would
the
have
last
been,
time.
yeah, you would have been caught in between the cogs.
Right.
Aye. But this one, the other one, Roulette.
Roulette needed us.
How many songs, like you had said before, did you
Hmm.
collaborate with others besides just the Shondells?
Yes. Um, we had two great producers right at the beginning, Bo Gentry and Richie Cordell.
Oh, Gentry.
And pardon me?
Oh, Gentry, I know that one.
Yeah, Richie Cordell.
Mm.
And we began writing and wrote a lot of music together.
Mm.
And one by one, we thank God had one hit after another on Roulette. And we were so very fortunate. And to this day, we tour all over the United States, and
Right.
we have a big catalog of stuff. And I'm very, very honored and flattered. We've had over 300 cover versions of our songs done by artists from Dolly Parton to Prince.
Prince, I.
Yeah. And REM, and oh my goodness. So we've
television
been
too?
very fortunate.
Did you have
Television, movies.
Yeah. You had
We've had
radio?
93 major films
Dang.
with our music. So Sony represents us in film and TV and commercials, and they're also our publishers. And Warner Brothers owns Roulette Records now. Roulette Records went out of business in the 90s, and Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
and Warner's bought them. So Sony and Warner Brothers, we ended up with the two, as far as I'm concerned, the best music companies you can have.
Yeah. So how long you've been with them again? The Warner.
Well, Warner's since the late 80s, I would say probably. It started out with Rhino Records in 88, and
I
Rhino
know
became,
Rhino Records.
right, and Rhino became Warner Brothers. It became absorbed into Warner Brothers a couple of years after that.
Tucked in. Did you get trouble during the pandemic touring?
Yes, touring was shut down.
Hmm.
There was no touring, and I have a radio show
Are you
on
doing?
on Sirius XM, and
Seriously?
yeah, seriously, yes, and it's a weekly show. So what I'm saying is, it was a wonderful way to stay in touch with the fans during COVID, when all the concerts were shut down.
Did you have it? COVID?
Three times.
I beat you by 3 more.
Is that right?
6.
Oh my.
And it gave me brain fog and I couldn't taste
Oh, I know.
anything. It was rough.
Taste, your sense of smell, your taste, everything.
Yeah, I was
And
out of whack.
it was tough.
Oh, it was rough, man. The first time I got it was in 2019.
Right.
Before they said it was whatever it was in 2020. And it was
Yes.
the first one was the roughest, Bob and
Yes.
it was rough.
Absolutely.
I couldn't
Me too.
breathe. And we had no idea, but we stuck at home. Thank the Lord, otherwise we would have given it all over the place there. But
Absolutely.
did you write songs about COVID itself then?
Well, the funny part was, I didn't do much writing during COVID because I didn't feel all that great, but most of the time. But Billy Joe Armstrong from the group Green Day did a cover of "I Think We're Alone Now" during COVID, because
Oh,
he was all by himself, locked up in his room,
right.
and he and his son playing drums did a cover version of "I Think We're Alone Now" that went top 10. So I guess I should probably have done more writing, but I didn't. I just didn't feel like it.
But over the years, your songs have been classics.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
It can go from the beginning of when you started off with
Thank you, Penny.
Shondells, And it
Yeah.
could go 100 years from now and still sound fresh and
Oh, thank you.
lighthearted and all that.
Well, we wrote a book called Me, the Mob, and the Music
Mm.
about our adventure with Roulette Records.
Oh.
And it's going to be made into a film.
Mm.
And we are, for years, I wanted to tell the story of Roulette Records because
Interesting.
um, while we were moaning and hanky panky and
All that
uh,
kind of stuff.
a very this very dark and sinister story was going on
Behind.
behind us that we couldn't talk about because Roulette, in addition to being a functioning independent record label and a pretty good one,
Mm-hmm.
was also a front for the Genovese crime family in New York. And Morris Levy, the head of the label, was a mob associate, as
Don?
they say. He couldn't be because he was Jewish, so he wasn't allowed to be, but his partner was. His
Okay.
partner was a man named Tommy Eberly, and when Vito Genovese passed away in 1969, Valentine's Day, believe it or
Oh,
not,
lovely.
Tommy Eberly became the Don of the family, the godfather of the family.
Still
And he
around.
was Morris Levy's partner,
Wait, are they still
literally.
around?
Pardon me?
Is that group still around, the Mafia?
No, they've all passed away. As a matter of fact, when we started to write the book, Martin Fitzpatrick, my co-author,
Yeah.
um, we were going to call the book Crimson and Clover, and we were going to talk about writing hits and all of the fun with making records.
Mm-hmm.
But we got about a third of the way into it and realized that if
Heavy.
we didn't tell the roulette story, which really was the story,
Mm-hmm.
we were cheating ourselves and everybody else, and because that's where the action was. And so I was a little nervous about finishing the book
Because
about roulette right then, because some of these guys at that time were still walking around. And so we put it on a shelf for a few years until the rest of the roulette regulars passed on in '06, and then we felt we could finish the book.
freedom.
So we did, and we told the story accurately,
Mm-hmm.
spelled everybody's name right,
Oh,
and really did the best we could with it. And when we were finished with it in 2010, we immediately got a book deal with Simon and Schuster,
ah.
and it's still selling like an album. And then we started getting uh, uh, sounded on for the Broadway rights and the movie rights. And so it looks like it's going to be a series, like a multi-part series on like an HBO or a Discover or Bravo, or, one of the, yeah, Netflix, one of the majors,
Peacock.
and possibly
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
There you go.
And afterwards, and it looks like it could very easily then be a Broadway show. So we're uh, crossing our fingers and holding our breath, and it's all coming together
And don't
right
forget
now.
to breathe.
I'll breathe.
So you have hit songs. All of your songs were hits, or some were.
Most of the songs, I would say we about 80%, maybe 90 of the songs that we put out charted. There were a few that didn't, but they all charted, usually in the top 40, top 20. We About 18 of them in the top 10.
I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you very much.
Good. So you receive recognitions or awards for your work over the years. What were they?
Well, 23 gold, 20, 23 gold records for singles
I don't.
and 9 platinum albums, platinum records for albums. So we've been very lucky. And also, uh, uh, it's funny. Since I've been with Sony,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I've really learned how you make money from copyrights, which copyright is the literal ownership of a song. You can write a song and not own it because
I own
somebody
all
else.
my songs.
Pardon me?
I own all of my songs.
Do you?
I write
Well,
lyrics
good for you.
and had other
Well,
people sing it.
you're very fortunate. It took me a long time to get my publishing back because my publishing was tied up in my roulette contract. And so it took me a long time to get all my publishing back. And so now that I'm with Sony, they do such a wonderful job of licensing the music and for commercials and movies and television and other people doing the songs. And so I have learned the intricacies, the minutia of making money from your music catalog. It's really quite interesting, and I've learned a lot.
Well, I've written a couple. Patricia Conroy sang one of my songs. We're trying to
Oh,
pitch
great.
it. We're trying to pitch it. Everybody loves it, but just getting in to be pitched and out there and commercial.
Well, you're right, because publishing is where the action is now. As a
Right.
matter of fact, I have a lot of groups that ask me, what should they do? And I've really thought about that. What would I do if I were trying to make it today? Because it's much harder making it
It
today.
is.
And so my advice to young bands is first of all to write your own material. But
Yeah.
I would put 10 or 12 of my best songs on tape, record them on cassette, and then start calling publishing companies instead of record companies. And because a publishing is really where the action is right now. It's where the
Right.
money is.
Right.
And a good publisher can do things for you you could never do for yourself. And even if you have to give all the publishing away,
Mm,
try not to, try to do a 50-50 split with them.
right.
But even the whole thing away, um, you're much better off having the prowess of a publisher, a major publisher behind you as you go out and shop for a record deal. And and they can do things for you that record companies can't with your music. They can
Right. If you don't have
do
the
so many.
money to be able to get it published, do they help you, the publisher?
Well, listen, if you can pick up the telephone
Mm,
uh, and call, the major publishers, even the secondary publishers, they're all online.
mm,
So I would call them up. I would try to get FaceTime and say, I got a dozen tunes that you ought to listen to
right.
that we love, and go and get FaceTime with them
Mm,
and work a publisher uh, before you go to a label, because a label is going to, these days, they don't have any artist development or anything like that. It's all, you got to do it for yourself. You got to bring, a million
on your own.
followers,
Yeah.
yeah, on social media with you, and they demand that you would do it yourself. So if you're
These
going to do it
labels,
yourself, go to a publisher.
labels, are they going by the wayside?
Well, I'm just talking. With me sitting here is our Ira Leslie, our go-between between our company and our distributor. And so we were just talking about that very subject. And what it boils down to is that the labels, the major labels, have virtually all of them have virtually gotten out of the distribution business. And they're all in the publishing business, but they've gotten out of the distribution business. And they've created, with the independent publishers, their own publishing, their own distribution outfits that distribute all the major labels now.
Wowza, it's a different situation than
That's right.
back in the 60s and 70s.
Your whole rationale back then was to go with a label that had international distribution. That distribution was your rationale for going with a big label.
I tried going Peerless.
Yeah, doesn't exist anymore.
I didn't think so. I haven't heard from him in dog's age, you know.
Yeah.
So tell me already. What would you like to say to my audience before we sign off, you might say?
Well, your audience, I take it, is in Indiana. Is that it? Is that one of your audiences?
My audience really is local cable TV here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where you're becoming very
well. I would like to invite everybody, first of all, to our show,
mm-hmm.
and it's going to be fun to mix it up with the crowd, my old Indiana buddies, because that was my old stomping ground. And secondly, I would just like to thank all the fans all over for sticking with us all these years and for putting food on my table and a roof over my head for 60 years.
And giving us delight with your music in return.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Shipshewana, that's when are you going?
Yes, indeed.
September 27th?
Yeah, I think we're in Fort Wayne before that, aren't we?
June 28th.
Yeah.
And
so we have a couple of dates, a couple of big concert shows this year. Thanks for the plug.
You're welcome. Well, I'm glad to have met you, sir.
And that's quite mutual. And thank you so much. Been wonderful talking with you. And thanks for letting me be Gabby.
This is Patty Hunter saying goodbye to Tommy James of the Shondells, and we'll bug you later next week. Ciao. Bye-bye, kid.
Godspeed, my love, until we meet again. You're always in my heart and every dream. Don't let this time apart give in to all our fears. God will keep us close from up above. So until we meet again, Godspeed, my love. God is with us always.